Sri Ramanathan Raman, distinguished members, guests, and friends of the media fraternity. I have great pleasure in extending a warm and hearty welcome to all of you to this very important and special session on innovation and entrepreneurship with Sri R. Ramanan, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission and Niti Aayog this afternoon. We are extremely honored to have Sri Ramanan and we are grateful to him for kindly accepting our invitation and coming online on this webinar today despite his busy schedule to share his views and perspectives with us. Before I share my views on today's topic, I will take this opportunity to briefly introduce our chief guest, Sri Ramanan, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission and Niti Aayog. Sri Ramanan was previously the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer and a member of the Board of Directors of CMC Limited, a subsidiary of the globally acclaimed TCS. Sri Ramanan joined TCS in 1981 after graduating from IIT Mumbai in electrical engineering and played an instrumental role in the growth of TCS. The Atal Innovation Mission AIM is Government of India's flagship initiative to promote a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. AIM's objective is to develop new programs and policies for fostering innovation in different sectors of the economy, provide a platform and collaboration opportunities for different stakeholders, create awareness, and create an umbrella structure to oversee innovation ecosystem of the country. AIM intends to support the establishment of new incubation centers called the Atal Incubation Center that would nurture innovative startup businesses in their pursuit to become scalable and sustainable enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, I have always believed that innovation plays an important role in entrepreneurship. In this highly competitive world, innovative ideas are what will separate an enterprise from the rest of the world. It is obvious that the goal of an enterprise is not to build an average startup. In order to create an outstanding product, strong brand, and to build a customer network, the enterprise needs to innovate. Innovation does not always mean to create something new. Innovators often take something that already exists, then they improve it, sometimes they change it, and make it the best for their customers. Being innovative does not happen overnight. It requires time and effort to create something truly innovative that will make the difference. In this context, I would like to mention some sectors that have flourished during the pandemic and the post pandemic situation in their own innovative ways. Firstly, online education, tutoring, web courses have come up to be the need of the hour when schools and education institutions were unable to function. Irreplaceable, online education industry is observing a sudden surge. More than 100 e-learning applications are available in India, which provide different types of courses and different curriculums without visiting schools and education institutions. Students are looking at alternatives to conventional teaching as well as learning. And enterprises under this sector would come up with more innovative ways to include more customers. Secondly, with a worldwide health emergency in play, many small and marginal enterprises have engaged in the production of masks, sanitizers, PPE kits, and other COVID related products. These industries are already on a rise and they have the most growth prospects in future. Thirdly, during the COVID pandemic, with the national lockdown imposed in India, social distancing being practiced as the new normal, and people refraining from gathering at markets, grocery shops, and public places, the e commerce and delivery based sectors are in the front line during this time. They offer safe and distance way to procure essential and non essential commodities by using simple mobile applications. Given the advent of technological revolution and interface management systems, this industry was already on a growth trajectory. Another major sector that came out to be a winner is the pharmacy and pathological centers. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, the majority of the human population would wish to have enough health medication facilities handy. People can easily order medicines through online applications today. Friends, these are just some of my observations and some of the examples of how innovation can help us create opportunity from adversity. With these observations, I now invite Sri Ramanan to share his perspectives. Thank you all. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari, for that very generous introduction and very appropriate setting up of what this conversation is all about. Good afternoon to everybody who has joined the call. It is indeed a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor for me to be able to share a few thoughts on this occasion with MCCI and all the persons who are attending the same. Um, Indeed, we are living in unprecedented times. The COVID 19 has brought in its wake a simple virus, has paralyzed nations across the world. It has created grievous loss of lives and livelihoods. It has disrupted supply chains across the world. It has created national lockdowns, some of which is still present in different parts of the world. And more importantly, it has created a fear of uncertainty of how long this pandemic is going to last. What are the other challenges and other global pandemics lurking in the horizon? Even as we speak, mutants of the variants of COVID 19 are becoming manifest in places like the United Kingdom and the United States. We have also the unspoken fear of what is going to happen due to climate change. This is something that we have been talking about, all of us. There have been many evidences to the impact of environmental emissions and pollutions that is disrupting the planet and the planetary ecosystem. And we do need to worry about what would happen if a disaster out of climate change surfaces in the next couple of years. We are also worried about what a post COVID 19 world is going to look like. And indeed, there is a vast difference between a pre COVID 19 world and the post COVID 19 world, because we have to be able to meet the challenges due to supply chain disruption, due to nationalistic fervors gripping nations, and thereby even exasperating that particular problem. So we are living in unprecedented times. At the same time, we are living in a time of great hope and of great certainty that technology is becoming a leveler and an important part of changing the global landscape and making things hereto impossible that we thought possible. And of course, before we go further, I do hope that every one of you is logged on, is healthy and hearty in spite of this COVID 19 circumstances, and that all of you are practicing the safeguards that need to be practiced and advocated by your health authorities, by your local institution, or by the company where you work. Now, when we talk about a topic of innovation and entrepreneurship, as I said, no time in the history of the world has innovation and entrepreneurship become center stage as it is now. And no time in the history of our world has innovation and entrepreneurship become scalable and implementable at a mass level across nations, across the world. This is because of a lot of things that are happening, and I'll come to that. But let's take India, for instance, because we are all citizens of one of the greatest countries, the greatest democracies of the world. India is a country with 1.3 billion people. We have 1.4 million schools. We have over 10,500 engineering and related institutions. We have over 39,000 colleges. We have 715 districts in our country, out of which 115 are called as aspirational districts. And these are called aspirational districts because they are at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of access to basic healthcare, basic education, clean drinking water, sanitation, affordable housing, or other areas that of improvement that we find easily in tier 1 cities, but we do not find in tier 2, tier 3 cities and in rural India. We have more than 4,000 towns in our country, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities in our country. And it is impossible for us to prevent the flocking of all the people from different parts of the country to these 8 tier 1 cities, because these are the only cities which are hubs of innovation and job creation. And we have 650,000 villages in our country. And that's a large number. So when we talk about the challenges that India has, they are many. And over the years, it has been said that while we have been making tremendous progress in our economy, in our agri economy, as well as in the commercial world and in the growth of our GDP, it is also a fact that 22% of our country is still below the poverty line. 44% of our country is agri economy based. So we have a huge challenge on our hands. The ability for India to move forward is now possible only if the demographic dividend that we are talking about, where we have more than 65% of our people under 35 years old, unless we enable them to become the transformers of India, they have to become the change makers. As the great Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. We want to make sure that our youngsters, the youthful, energetic workforce that we have as a potential to transform India, they are able to carry on and meet the hopes and demands of over 1.3 billion people. Now, that is possible in today's context. And let me say why that is possible. Daunting as it may seem in terms of the immensity of the challenge that is there in front of us, we have three very, very good reasons to be extremely optimistic and can turn the impossible situation into a possible situation. First and foremost, the demographic dividend that I talked about. This is the envy of many a country. No other country is having a young population like in India. And we have, like I said, 150 million young students through our schools, universities, through our educational institutions, research institutions, through our colleges, and those who are already working in the industry. We have this huge workforce, potential workforce, who can create impact not only at a national level, but at a global level. And we need to harness this tremendous demographic dividend that we are talking about to make sure that they become an integral part of the transformers, the change makers of our country. Now, how is this possible? To make it possible, we need to leverage two other very important factors. The second factor is India is one of the fastest growing economies of the world. Barring the COVID-19 crisis, we have been growing at 6 to 8% over the last several years. Now, that's an amazing growth for a country of our size. Unless we have a fast growing economy, we will not be able to support entrepreneurial ventures or will not be able to support new startups on the horizon. We need a thriving, vibrant economy, a growing economy, an economy that is taking us not only places in the internal domestic market possibilities, but also in the international market. We have grown a $190 billion ITS industry just in the last few years, in the last 15 to 20 years. More importantly, what it has shown to the entire world is the immense possibility of Indians contributing to the global talent pool and to global advancement and growth. Indeed, it is not surprising that our Indian innovators, our engineers, our scientists, our doctors, our philosophers, our artists are all making an impact wherever they have an ecosystem that enables them to realize their full potential. This is why when they go abroad, when they go to the United States or when they go to UK or Europe, they're able to rise to the highest levels of eminence that that country is able to afford. Just yesterday, we have had Kamala Harris being sworn in as the vice president of the most powerful country in the world. We have Sundar Pichai heading Google, Shantanu Narayan heading Adobe, and Arvind Krishna heading IBM. We have many Indians who are at the forefront in the leading universities of the world, whether it be the Harvard Business School, the London Business School, INSEAD, or whether it be the MITs, the Stanfords, and the Carnegie Mellons. So when Indians have an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship available to them, they blossom, they rise to their highest potential. And the third important thing is technology is changing the very shape of the world in which we are all living in. Technology is becoming advanced, affordable, accessible, and available. 3D printing is revolutionizing the way you're able to conceptualize, design, develop, prototype, and manufacture a product right in front of your eyes in the confines of your small shop, in the confines of your house, or in the confines of a small lab. Robotics is driving the next degree and level of automation and productivity. The Internet of Things or sensor technologies are getting integrated into man-machine device, plant, soil, space, so that you are able to get valuable information and streams of data from which you are able to make very intelligent decisions. You are having biotech technologies, which is changing the very way medicine and healthcare is going to be in the years to come. Communication technologies are making a tremendous advent with satellite technologies, wireless technologies, 5G technologies, all enabling large amounts of data to be transmitted from point to point or to be broadcast across multiple points. And all of this data is now being processed by powerful computers which can fit within your pocket. Nano computing, advanced computing, supercomputing are all making it possible. And big data and analytics is making it possible for you to process large amounts of data at lightning speeds and be able to make sense out of the data. And we have always been talking about artificial intelligence in the years before. I have been hearing about artificial intelligence in 1969. And when I did enter IIT, or when I entered into work, artificial intelligence was still a buzzword, but it did not make much sense at that point in time. But never in the history of the world has artificial intelligence made more sense than now. And that is because of this tremendous convergence of computing, communication, data processing, and sensor technologies with advanced software engineering and algorithmic precisions, that you are now able to manage all this data and process all this data to be able to give valuable human intelligence in mimicking decisions. That is what artificial intelligence is all about. So we are now in the grips of three very important aspects that India is uniquely having: a demographic dividend that is the envy of many a country, a fast-growing economy which is required to nurture innovation and entrepreneurship, and technology which is becoming affordable, accessible, available in advance. And therefore, we have launched, the government of India has launched on a series of initiatives to promote and create that ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country. This is how the Atal Innovation Mission has been formed as a flagship initiative at the Niti Aayog, the National Institution for Transforming India, to be able to bring the latest of technologies to bear upon innovative solutions that the country needs, to be able to encourage the young startups and provide them a mechanism, an ecosystem where they can flower and blossom and be able to create a nation of job creators, not just job seekers. So towards this end, the Atal Innovation Mission has launched upon a very holistic approach to enable this ecosystem. First and foremost, to create this culture of innovation in our young people, because if you don't build this culture of innovation, you're not going to be able to create the entrepreneurs and the innovators that we are talking about. So to create this culture of innovation, we have to create it in the young people. And so we have launched thousands of tinkering labs called Atal Tinkering Labs across the country. These are dedicated innovation workspaces in schools where the young children from grade 6 to grade 12 are able to access, play with, tinker with, and create prototype solutions with do-it-yourself kits on the latest emerging technologies that are shaping the world of tomorrow. 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality, do-it-yourself kits are being made available to the young students so that we are transforming our young students from a rote learning mindset with which we have grown up with, all of us, you and I have grown up with, to a problem-solving, innovative mindset, which will create the innovators of tomorrow, the job creators of tomorrow, the entrepreneurs of tomorrow, not just the job seekers of tomorrow. And it also plugs a very important gap that our educational system has had with the industry. The new education policy that has been rolled out just recently in this year talks about how do we ensure that the benefits of latest skills and latest technologies are made available to our young students so that they can not just get theoretical knowledge in the classroom, but also the hands-on experience that is so very important if you want to become a tinkerer of the future, an innovator of the future. The next thing that we are doing is we are launching hundreds of incubators, world-class incubators, to foster thousands of startups. Now, why is this important? In a startup world, there are many valleys of death, as most of you would be aware. These valleys of death need to be bridged by appropriate support and help by the incubator. They need support at crucial times in the startup life cycle to be able to realize their product from a dream that they have had. They need support for venture capital. You need support for access to technology lab, research labs. That is very important. You need mentoring support in your domain, in your market, in your technology. You need business planning and strategy support so that you know how to go and enter the market and not be beaten by it. You need HR support because you need the best team to work with you, to be able to complement you, and to be able to supplement your skills so that the startup can become successful. So you need all of this, and the incubators provide that bridge over the valleys of death and enables a startup and in a small little company with only with an idea and a dream to start with, to flower, blossom, stand on their own legs, just like a small child in the womb of its mother, grows to a point where it can come out into this world and it is able to blossom into a beautiful human being. Similarly, a startup needs to be supported and the entire industry has to get into action. The family supports the mother. The industry needs to support the startups. Without that combination of support and various stakeholders playing their role in the ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship, we will not become successful. The third initiative that the Atal Innovation Mission has launched is what are known as community innovation centers. As I earlier mentioned, we have 650,000 villages, we have 715 districts. How do we ensure that the benefits of innovation and the spurring of innovation happens at a district level, at a community level? We have 650,000 villages. How do we convert each of the village into a community center which will thrive and which will support and which will spur new innovations which are required for local job creation? If you are in a city like Goa, how do you ensure, for example, that you spur innovation in the shipbuilding industry, in the tourism industry, in the cashew nut industry, in the mining industry, in the fishing industry, because these are industries local to Goa. So we need to be able to similarly help the people in Salem to Sikkim, from Jodhpur to any other corner or any other remote districts of our country. How do we ensure that the tribal handicraft from Sikkim reaches Seattle, or the products from Salem reach into San Francisco? And that is possible because of the digital reach and digital transformations that are being enabled through revolutions in digital technology. You and I are today able to communicate and connect and be on this webinar because of digital technology. So digital technology is going to change and is changing rapidly the face of the world. It is enabling distance education, telemedicine. It is enabling remote collaboration and global collaboration. And all of this needs to be brought to bear in the communities of India. And therefore, the Atal Community Innovation Centers spur local community-driven innovation and community-level job creation. Now, as we grow the world of startups in the country, it is important to launch challenges that are relevant to the country for national impact at the socio-economic level. So the Atal Innovation Mission has been launching several challenges called Arise Challenges for the MSME and the startup community. The Arise Challenges are applied research and innovation for small enterprises. You see, a lot of universities are doing research, but how much of that research actually goes into the field? From the lab to the market, from the farm to the fork. How do we ensure that the research that we do gets applied for the benefit of humanity, for the benefit of our people? And that is why the applied research and innovation for small enterprises are a series of challenges that we launch along with various ministries and other partners to be able to stimulate Make in India innovations in the MSME startup country. We have more than 70% of our labor associated, formal and informal labor associated with the MSME economy. But we have only 29% of our MSME, of our GDP being contributed by MSME economy. How do we ensure that from 29% we leap to 50%? That would be possible only if we reduce our dependency upon imports and increase our exports. Now, that is possible because of innovation and technology. We can dramatically bring down, for example, component level design, component level electronics, component level manufacturing in the import of those into India and have local MSMEs manufacture them. At the same time, because of our tremendous capability in IT-enabled services, technology, and research, we can create a new vibrant export market, thereby raising the contribution of MSME to more than 50% of our economy. And finally, we need to ensure that all of us professionals get involved in this innovation journey. Now, that is possible only when you have mentors and mentorship by professionals like you and me who have been there, done that, got the benefit of working in large organizations, got the benefit of technology knowledge. How do we share this with our tinkering lab students, our startups, our innovators? All of these is very important. So Atal Innovation Mission has built one of the largest networks of uh, mentors in the world, and we are ensuring that over 10,000 mentors are getting allocated to our tinkering labs, our startups, our incubators, so that they can bring their knowledge into the ecosystem. And we are also ensuring that many corporates and the industries are partnering with us, whether it is NASCOM, Indian multinationals, global multinationals. And in order to ensure that the benefits of our innovation reaches across the world, as the Honorable Prime Minister said in Atmanirbhar Bharat, being vocal for local, so that you can go to the global markets and market our products and services. We need to build tremendous relationship with many countries. So Athel Innovation Mission has launched on many initiatives for global collaboration. We are today we have launched the circular economy set of challenges along with Australia, the water challenge along with Denmark, healthcare challenges along with Sweden, many startup collaborations with Singapore and Israel, and so on. Now, these are all important to bring the various stakeholders into the system. Where are we in this journey today? I think we have much to be proud about, all of us, you and I included, to see how India is growing as one of the fastest startup nations of the world. We have more than 55,000 startups in India as of today. We have more than 60 unicorns that have been attributed to Indians, out of which 34 are from India. Now, that's an amazing number to come up in the last several years. But what is even more amazing is that in a pandemic year, last year, more than 11 unicorns from India, they became unicorns during the pandemic year. Now, that shows the strength of innovation. I was involved as Atal Innovation Mission, from Atal Innovation Mission, to coordinate a search for COVID-19 related solutions during the pandemic. We launched a challenge to all the industry as well as the startups. And what did we find? The most solutions that came in the preventive, assistive, or even in the curative category came from the startup world. This was a watershed moment and an awakening moment for all of us, not only in the government, but also in the industry. 1,500 startups responded with their solutions. And the industry realized that unless we support them, associations like NASCOM, CII, FICCI, associations like TIE, they all rose to the occasion, and many industry partners rose to the occasion to support these startups so that their solutions can be productized and distributed into the marketplace. And I think that has had a tremendous positive impact on our response to the COVID-19 situation as compared to the rest of the world, considering the size of our country and considering the havoc that it could have potentially created, were it not for all these steps taken and the innovation that was displayed by our startups and by our community. Like I said, also, the world is recognizing India's advances in innovation. We are now ranked 48 in the Global Innovation Index. We leapt from a position of 81 in 2016 to a position of 48, an amazing 33 places advancement to be able to break into the top 50. But I do think personally that we have the ability to be among the global top 10 innovative countries of the world within the next 10 years. And why do I say it? I say it because of all this innovation that we see, the capabilities of our innovators, our Indian engineers who are second to none. I've been part of the private sector and part of the IT story because I joined TCS in 1981 when I graduated from IIT Bombay. But at that time, we never talked about innovation. We talked about what is the university we will go and join abroad and what is the company that I'm going to be working for. We never imagined ourselves to be job creators and entrepreneurs of the future. At least I didn't imagine. I'm sure there are many others who may have imagined. But that was the general trend because we were afraid to take risks. We didn't have enough venture capital with us. Our families could not afford us to go into taking all the family savings and be able to distribute it as largest in an enterprising mode. But today, the world is absolutely different in which we are living in. There is tremendous amount of venture capital, industry interest, the economy is thriving, and the students are hungry to make an impact to the rest of the world. We all should therefore encourage innovation, entrepreneurship at every level. And I'm very happy that MCCI has organized this particular webinar today and given me an opportunity to share a few thoughts. As Steve Jobs said, we all should leave a ding in the universe. We all should leave a ding means we need to make an impact by our lives. And more importantly, we need to give the young generation, the next generation, the opportunities and empower them to be able to become the innovators of tomorrow, to be able to architect the Atmanirbhar Bharat of our dreams. The Honorable Prime Minister in his Atmanirbhar Bharat call mentioned about the 5 pillars which are going to drive Atmanirbhar Bharat. The pillar of demographic dividend that we talked about. The pillar of infrastructure. We need to ensure that infrastructure, not only the physical infrastructure, but the digital infrastructure gets to be smarter and more intelligent than ever before. We need smart villages, smart districts, smart cities, smart hospitals, smart housing. We need smart water management and smart electricity management and renewable energies. The third pillar he talked about was the pillar of demand. We have 1.3 billion people, so we don't need to look for the demand elsewhere. All the demand is here. And if we are able to fulfill that demand, we are able to enable thousands of startups to succeed. And finally, we have the pillar of socio-economic progress, where we need to use technology and we need to use startups to address the social divide, the digital divide, and the divide between the haves and the have-nots. And all of this is leveraging the pillar of technology that I talked about. So we have an amazing opportunity to leave a ding in the universe. I'm sure all the people who are logged on to this call will join the innovation bandwagon in some manner or the other and be able to contribute to create the Atmanirbhar Bharat of our dreams through innovation, through entrepreneurship, through their support of their same. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity for sharing a few thoughts on this particular occasion.
That was wonderful, sir. I think I'm absolutely spellbound, and it's really interesting to hear so many perspectives coming from you on this whole idea of innovation. And let me also take this opportunity to introduce you to our treasurer and also the gentleman who handles our MSME council, and himself a very, very learned and an innovative person, Mr. Sanjeev Kothari. He's with here us, on this panel. Sanjeev ji, welcome.
So much. Thank you so much, Rishabh. It was really an engaging session with Mr. Ramanan. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I can see there are some questions on social media, but before I ask anyone else to ask a question, I have a question of my own, sir. I mean, which is, it is traditionally believed that Indians are risk averse, or what is this whole DNA of innovation and risk, and what is the correlation? What do you think, sir?
Yeah. No, I think it's a very important question because actually traditionally Indians have not been risk averse. It is, I think, since independence, because of poverty and because of all the other factors that actually descended upon India in a very, very major way, we ended up with conserving a very conservative approach. Savings became very, very important to every family. And therefore, this ability to take risks and become entrepreneurial became dimmed in a manner of speaking. But if you look historically, Indians have been always entrepreneurial. They have always been very innovative. Uh, it's it's the only culture which actually encourages at some point in time give up everything and go to the mountains and meditate and realize higher truths. So the risk averseness has never been there in the Indian spirit, though I think it did descend upon us post-independence because of the economic situation. But at the same time, what has happened is that culture starts developing, and then parents feel it is very risky for their sons or their children to be able to go and start out on something on their own. And that is why we at Atal Innovation Mission make it very particular right now, because today the situation is very different. It is not so risky. If you take 2 years break after your school, after your college, and you want to start something entrepreneur, because that is the time when your creative juices are very high, your energy is very high. Those people who have an idea and a passion for something, if they are able to give expression to that through the incubators and through the innovation ecosystem, and be supported for that period of time without having to feel that you're taking a great risk. In fact, it is the opposite. According to me, it is the opposite. If you enter into the entrepreneurial world even when you're very young, you are almost, it's like trial by fire, because you have to learn so many things at one shot. You need to know how to be innovative. You need to get business sense. You need to to manage the daily expenses and so on and so forth. You need to make most of what you have. So this triggers a very different spirit of capability. And in the innovators world, as the great Abdul Kalam said, there is no word called fail. The word fail means first attempt in learning. And so, this is a great learning experience for young innovators. And I can bet you today, in today's world, if you go to any corporate, if a corporate sees that you have had some entrepreneurial startup experience, you will be more welcomed into the corporate than otherwise, because you're a person who is enterprising. You're a person who have seen how important it is, the concepts that corporates normally talk about, profitability and making the most bang for the buck. All of these concepts are automatically, you get trained in all of them. So a great entrepreneur becomes a great job seeker anyway. But that's not the intent. The intent is for them to be able to unleash their creativity and create new jobs and new entrepreneur units. And this has now become possible because of technology. 10 years ago, that is also not possible. What will you start off? What will you do? But today you have internet, you have software, you have hardware, you have artificial intelligence. So you are able to create your own little, and you have multiple, domains in which you can apply your creativity. So I think it is very important to understand that we need to be less risk averse. And I would also say, I need to say that corporates and private sector also need to be less risk averse. In fact, we have the lowest R&D contribution by the private sector anywhere in the world, one of the lowest. 70% of the funding for R&D comes from the government of India, and only 30% or less than 30% comes from the corporate sector or the private sector. Whereas if you look at advanced economies like America or Korea and Japan and Taiwan and so on, there more than 70% to 75% of the R&D spending comes from the private sector. So this shows the risk awareness of the private sector at a corporate level. And we need to encourage innovation both within and embrace innovation from outside.
Thank you, sir. Sanjeev ji, आपको कुछ पूछना है नहीं? I will go to the audience questions.
I think we take questions from audience first.
So, sir, I have one question. It says declining productivity and increasing inequality are important challenges everywhere. Artificial intelligence may solve the former, but will worsen the latter. So it is important to come up with solutions that tackle both of them in both the short and the long term. In this context, how can innovation make economic growth both faster and more inclusive?
Yeah. So it's a popular notion that artificial intelligence is going to deprive you of jobs and so on and so forth. But I actually personally think it is going to be exactly the reverse. Artificial intelligence is going to spawn a new series of jobs and new types of jobs across the world. Take, for example, today, look at construction. Construction, civil engineering has always been thought about as, it's a pure engineering discipline. But today, civil engineering has become smart engineering, smart civil engineering. Smart civil engineering means you're bringing the benefits of artificial intelligence into a domain like civil engineering or aeronautical engineering, or you talk about agriculture vertical, precision agriculture. How are you going to do precision agriculture? You need to be able to ensure that the irrigation for the crops is exactly what is required and not an ounce more and not an ounce less. You need to ensure that the right type of fertilizers and the right type of nutrients are being fed. All of this, artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role because it is now possible through AI to be able to find what is the steps to be taken to increase production, to increase productivity, to increase new types of jobs. Now, another thing is the fear of automation. Automation will remove many of our people from existing jobs. But automation can also create new types of jobs which are not as mundane and as routine as what we have been doing. And this was the popular notion when computers got introduced, saying computers will take away all the jobs. And in fact, it is the opposite. Computers are now creating many, many new jobs in every vertical, in every field. So AI and productivity and machine learning, these are all going to spawn new areas of creativity and new types of innovations that will require new type of skills to be acquired by people. So what is important in order to address these rapid changes that are happening? You see, technology cannot be halted. You cannot halt the pace of technology. It is like asking the scientist not to do research, is asking like telling the inventor not to do any innovation or invention. You cannot stop all that. That is human need to express their creativity. But what you can do is also modify the systems and the enablement of policies to develop the new skills and incentivize new skill development which are matching these new technologies and which are needed. And not everybody needs to be a big data analyst. They should know how, for example, tech support is going to become more important. Leveraging technology for selling products. Look at the farmer today, or look at the retailer, how he is on using WhatsApp in order to do his business. He's using technology to do the business. And in that small WhatsApp application is a whole lot of artificial intelligence built in to make sure that he is able to understand customer sensitive, customer specific requirements. He's able to personalize his services to the customer. And that's what AI is going to enable. It's going to enable you and me to get personalized services based upon my needs and based upon your needs, whether it is be in education, whether it be in healthcare, whether it be in products that I'm buying from the market, whether it be I'm a farmer or I'm a craftsman or I'm a teacher or a tutor. It's going to make available so many tools. Today, for example, people are giving tuitions on dance and singing across the internet through YouTube to different countries. Look at suddenly the expansion of the market. You have got personalized tutoring happening because of digital technology. So I personally believe that you're going to have a plethora of new jobs because of AI, because of robotics and productivity improvements. We should not get phased by it. In fact, we should be very innovative to see how do we leverage all these technologies to create a new cadre of jobs and a new cadre of job streams.
Thank you, sir. There is another question. Innovation is becoming more collaborative, with businesses increasingly partnering with other businesses and universities to develop new innovations. Yet there is overwhelming agreement that we are missing out on valuable opportunities. How do we unlock new collaborations for innovation?
Yeah, collaboration is the key. Actually, collaboration is very, very important in today's world because it is impossible for a single person to know everything that needs to be known to create a product or an innovation that can have an impact. You look at large companies, they surround themselves with experts from different areas. They have doctors, they have artists, they have some philosophers also within their companies in order to be able to create new products and new services. So collaboration is key because innovation thrives on diversity of thinking. It thrives on diversity of gender, and it also thrives in diversity of culture. When different cultures, you have a team which is a international team or a global team, Japanese, Chinese, Indians all working together, the richness of that innovation would be tremendous. And that is why you'll see, companies like Apple or Google and so on, they employ diversity of people to bring freshness of thought and collaboration. Now, it is very important in India, particularly, that private sector and universities work together and enhance their collaboration because the private sector knows what the market needs. The universities know what courses that they can train their students on and all of that. At the intersection of the industry and the universities comes the possibility of innovation, new skills development, and creating new opportunities for the young because they know what the market needs are, they know where the research has to be directed, and then that confluence is what brings a great innovation. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, sir. All the questions are repetition. The last question I have is
Yeah.
the Atal Innovation Mission launched by Atmanirbhar Bharat Arise ANIC initiative. Could you throw some light on it? I think you already touched it.
Yeah. So the Arise initiative, as we call, are challenges which we have thrown along to the MSME startup community with 5 ministries this particular time, and that will be going. We'll be launching new challenges. Arise challenges are essentially to support early stage innovation from an advanced research idea into a market viable prototype. That is that to support that journey, we have launched a series of challenges, and if you have an innovation, either a basic prototype or you have an advanced, well-researched idea that can be converted into the prototype within a period of 9 months, we will support that challenge through the award of this particular challenge. We have with 5 ministries: Ministry of Drinking Water, Ministry of Urban Housing and Development, Ministry of Food Processing, ISRO, Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of I think textiles. We have launched 5 challenges with them, and therefore, no, we have launched 15 challenges with them, 2 challenges with each of them, and we'll be identifying winners, 3 challenges with each of them, so 15 challenges, and we'll be identifying 30 winners. So I would encourage a lot of people to look at the Atal Innovation Mission website, look at these challenges, and and keep looking for the new challenges that we are launching.
Sure, sir. So, before I pass it on the baton to Sanjeev ji to propose a vote of thanks, what would be your message to members of the Chambers of Commerce or to Chambers of Commerce, or how they can participate in this whole journey of promoting excellence, promoting innovation, promoting this entire ecosystem as an organization, and of course, as a organization of members?
Yeah, I think, thank you for that question. I think MCCI can play a very important role in strengthening the collaboration on innovation and entrepreneurship between the universities of Calcutta, where you're located, or more, and also bringing vital mentorship capability, because mentors are there, are very necessary for startups to succeed. And it's not that you need to have done a startup in order to help to help another startup. You are bringing your domain knowledge, your industry knowledge, your market knowledge, your research capability into to bear. So I think that if MCCI can enable mentorship for the incubators, the startups in the community, that would be great. I also think that they should actively promote the venture capitalist network or set up a VC network of their own to see which of the startups can be supported from an economic point of view and from a funding point of view and so on, because they don't require much. Very often startups require about 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs for them to be able to complete something. But when they don't get that, look at it, it's a single innovator who's sitting down and saying, where am I going to get this 15 lakhs to probably buy a few components and be able to integrate into his innovation. And just that makes him lose his potential idea into a product. So I think a third thing that I would suggest is please launch challenges along with incubators and with universities to stimulate. So I think the industry knows these are some of the challenges we are facing. So why not launch challenges? NCCI and Atal Innovation will be very happy to collaborate with all of you in that. And we'll launch challenges together so that we address the needs of the industry as well as those who are interested in social innovation and social benefits. The CSR contributions of several companies and members of MCCI can be routed for promoting innovation, social innovation and social startups.
That will be wonderful. And if we will ask our secretary to reach out to your office, and if there is any way we can partner with your with Niti Aayog, with the Atal Innovation Mission for as an organization, and of course also as an organization on behalf of our members, that'll be really wonderful. So thank you very much, sir, for that encouragement and that really very strong and very profound message. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Sanjeev ji.
What a spellbound and insightful discussion it was. Really, really, sir, it was such an engaging one that perhaps no one is uttering or no one is going out. Thank you so much, Sri Ramanan, Additional Secretary, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, for gracing this webinar and enlightening us on the core issues regarding innovation and entrepreneurship. We are grateful to you, sir, for shedding light on how to increase innovation and entrepreneurship in India with trust to job creators rather than really job seekers. Creating of hundreds of world-class innovation, what you have done. Community innovation centers at district level, at community level for local job creation is a right step of taking it to the global community by effectively using the digital innovation and really fulfill dreams of our Honorable Prime Minister for Atmanirbhar Bharat, for making local into vocal. Sir, I take this opportunity to thank all the representatives of the press and electronic media for their kind presence and continued support to us. With these few words, I express my heartfelt thanks to the members of our chamber, friends and business associates for their gracious presence in this session. I now propose a very hearty vote of thanks to our wonderful speaker, Sri Ramanan sir. Request you all to carry this with great acclamation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we look forward to more such engaging sessions in future, sir.
Sure.
And sir, I also hope that next time we will meet in person rather than just only virtually.
Yes.
That will be an extra benefit for us.
Definitely. I look forward to the same. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.